Alrighty, update. So it's been nearly a week since I've done an update. So I've had, I don't know, a fair bit of time on her. Probably, I don't know, another 10 hours, I suppose, all up over the last week, which is good. So anyway, jobs I've done all the insulation on the firewall, so that's done. And looking good. I've got the brake booster back in, brake lines connected. So I've sealed all the brake system now. So I've tightened up everything on the wheels. So I've also done the handbrake. So I've done the EF Handbrake install. Oh, not install, but yeah. So she is. Look at that. Light as. It's great. So that's done. So I'll briefly show you what I did, I guess. How I went about it. So basically, under here, that mount there works fine. It's in the same spot. Just rigged up a cable connection to the old cable. I've got that in there temporarily. There's the machine you use to clamp these on. There's none in stock at the moment, so I've got them in there just to get the adjustment done. So that's what I did on this end. On the other end, bear with me, I've got to get up and down. Right, on the other end, that's all I did. So I just cut off the other cable where it goes down the other side. I just put in a little adapter. That gives you a bit of adjustment there too. Same deal with that wire connected up. I've got those things in there, little cable connectors in there in the interim. So I used all the same system. Used all the same stuff, so the handbrake lever feels just the same as it would. The spring, I've got a new one of them coming. She's lost a bit of tension, so it's not quite pulling back the way it should. Everything else is here as per the old XC setup. Same deal. So yeah, a little bit of mucking around to be honest, and that's the cable run all the way up the back, and that cable down that side's been deleted. So yeah, that's what I've done. It's easy enough to do. Just that I couldn't find anyone else who'd done it before. So yeah, the adjustment was a fair bit of stuffing around on the adjustment because it's a different setup. You know, you're pulling in a different direction, unlike the original ones. You're pulling the cable straight back towards the front of the car. Those ones are set up so they pull the cable directly towards the centre of the diff. So on the EFs. So yeah, a little bit of muck around, but once you get it adjusted, it's fine. It works well. Yeah, so it looks good. It's simplified. And when I do the engine install, I'm just going to undo that and drop it out of the way. Otherwise, it's going to be a nuisance putting the engine in. So it actually makes it easy to get the engine in and out. So yeah, everything's done here. I'm going to connect these up, like I said, once the engine's in. So that's the other view of the brake, power steering and all that. So that's all dusted and all pretty up through there. Yeah, all brake lines are connected and nice and tight. So yeah, she's looking good. Everything's done under here, it's all finished. So it's just good. So I'm gonna put some, bear with me. Yeah, so all wheels, all left, right, it's done. Oh, the vacuum things, I'll put that in there just because I've done the firewall installation. Yeah, so anyway, the other thing I did was set up the cable shifter. So I'll do this end first, show you how I did it. So this is converting a column shift to a column shift with the linkages for a Borg Warner 35 to a column shift with cable shifter to suit an FMX. God. Anyway, so that's what I've done. So there's the cable. That's just a standard off the shelf B&M cable. That's got that on that end, and it's got the little linkage set up on the other end. Now this is not off the shelf. This was all made So they make all this bracket through here, then they make all that by hand, all that through there, then make this bracket this way to support the link cable here, and get all the angles right so the bloody thing would shift. It was a muck around, I'll be blunt, but what's that? Oh, that's nice. I can shift it by hand. I've only got one hand, otherwise, see, like that. So I've only got one hand, but anyway, so it shifts by hand, let alone with a lever. So it's great. So that's the setup on the other end. So you can see a couple of bolts there. I'll show you on the other end how I did it, and then you've got that two little screws there. So yeah, so that's good. That's got all the nylon washers in there, so they don't, you know, so you can move it, lock and up, and the angles are really good. Angles through there are good. And I can move it, shift it by hand, so it's really good setup. That's a 5-foot cable, so yeah, it works well. And then, like I said, this was a lot of mucking around to get this right and get the distances right. It was a bloody nuisance, to be honest. It was quite a few hours work. So on the other end, I just utilised the existing shifter. So all I did, you can see it's taped up at the moment because I've got to get some really good heat shrink to get over that yet. So I just made 2 brackets there, just cut the shifter a little bit shorter, drilled 2 holes, and well, 3 holes actually, because I 1, 2, 3. So I've used 2 brackets only because I wanted a bit of extra support. So I'm going to put a nut in the middle there and put the cable through and put one nut on each side of that. And it gives you heaps of stability. And there's the bottom. So those 2 big golden bolts I showed you before, they go connecting to that on each side of that. And that just works a treat. Look at that. So you can actually, oh, it's in park at the moment, damn it. But anyway, I'll show you. I'll get it out of park. But you can see, imagine that's the other way. So look, it just pulls up and down like that. And I've just put it back into park, so it's locked. But anyway, that's the idea, and that does all the movement for you. Gives you a bit of left and right and side to side, and it works perfectly well with the cable. So yeah, that's the way I've done it. I mean, that's the way I've done it. I couldn't find anyone else who... You can buy factory stuff, but not for the FMX. And not for the XE. The other ones have got a very different setup in here, and you can put this big extender and this big bloody roundy looking thing, and then they don't work on the XEs. Might be XD, XE, whatever, it's all the same. Yeah, so that's what I've done. So the other job, did the instrument cluster. So I changed that out to the V8 one. That was a bit of work as well, but so I had to change the, which I knew about, I had to change the little gear, the little tacho gear, odometer gear, sorry. So that's the V8 one in there now. So she's all smashed, smizzy, all brand looking, flashy looking. So anyway, I've got previous videos how you take these in, and there's also not on my channel, but other follower channel who's got a really good video on how to change this odometer gear. It's a good video, so there's no point in me doing it. So yeah, so brake booster went in all good. There's a little bit of mucking around, don't get me wrong. So the bolts, one of the bolts are a pain, absolute bloody nuisance because of the angle it's on. The other thing I did, I changed the accelerator cable, so that's got the new V8 one in it now. There's the accelerator cable through there, and I put a new accelerator cable in. The one from the old gold car was stuffed. So they are, once again, very awkward, pain in the butt. So there's 2 little silver bolts on top of the accelerator cable. It's where the firewall insulation is on this side. It's very awkward, especially with 6'9" Hua hands. So yeah, it was a fairly awkward process to change those two little bolts, and also the brackets on a very particular angle. So when you do it, you got to make sure you look at, when you pull the old accelerator cable out, which angle. So there's an angle how it fits against the firewall. So you got to make sure that's right. So check it. If you are changing one of these, make sure you check which angle it's on, so you know you put it back in the original way. So choke cables run. So I've just run the choke cable through there, through a gland. It's got two glands actually. I've got one for the choke cable, because I know it's going to vibrate with the engine, and that's the cable for the cruise control. So one of them goes to power, another one goes down to the one goes to the the machine that moves everything, the little vacuum unit that controls the accelerator, and the other one goes down to the transmission. Not transmission, friggin' tail shaft, where you put the magnets on and it detects the speed off the tail shaft to set your cruise control. All the rest of the wiring is all huddled up in there for now for the cruise control system. So I've got to rig that up. So I've got the wiring ready to go for the other stuff, which is the condenser fan, the spot or fog lights, and also the condenser fans, fog lights, and air conditioning. So yeah, so I've got to run those cables out through the firewall. So the only thing is, I was going to utilise these things. Now, I had a look on my car. Now there's 3 cables under here. Oh, it's going to be, you'll never see it, but there's another. You can see it through there. Yeah, up the back here, there's another hole. Now it's definitely factory. When you have a look at it, it's a factory hole. It's not some afterthought, that's for sure. So I don't know what on earth these 3 supplied, but everything worked on the car before I turned it off. So maybe it was a cop thing, I don't know. But when you have a look under here, where those 3 go, that's them there. And look, that's all factory stuff. So 3 big heavy-duty cables. So I'm not sure what they're for, but they serve no purpose. So I'm assuming something in its previous life. But it's definitely been done factory, so that's been done. So yeah, jobs. Been good. It's been good fun. It's been hot, when isn't it hot? So I've just blocked off the return line on both ends, because based on this, I don't need one. So there's no return line on it. Well, that's the way I got it out of the other car. There's no return line. It's just fuel in and fuel up to the carby, and that's it. So I'm just leaving that as the way I found it. Yeah, so engine, ironically, I'm done. I'm just got to put the wheels on, drop it down to the ground, tighten all the suspension front to rear, and smash the engine in. So before I put it in, I'm just going to double check that all this is working. So I'm just going to put the engine up next to the car and just connect up the cable shifter and just operate it, and just make sure all the first, second, third, neutral, park positions are all spot on. But based on all the testing I did, I've got it adjusted right. But must test before I put the engine in. So that's that. God, talked enough. Anyway, thanking you. That's where we're up to. Cheers.